Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through. He's just gonna solidify everything within those.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're gonna be able to find these shots true.
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes the Dazzling, immediately comes back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2-3, so back and forth.
What is up, friends, and welcome. We are here in week 6. We're going to get into an EU Open match here today for your CGL, for your Overwatch enjoyment. My name is Bullskunk. I am here alongside Rain as we're getting set here for your Thursday matchup. It's good to get in the booth with you here. By the way, welcome to CGL. I know from a longtime alumni who's actually been gone a little too long. One of your newest casters here on the desk with me today.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here casting EU, and some familiar names for me. DYS Budget Approved, I have gotten a chance to cast them before, so super excited to see them back on the screen for, what's going to be a pretty impressive match despite there being a substitution on the field. I think that this is going to be close nonetheless.
Yeah, we did have to throw in a quick sub here at the end, hence a little bit of a delay getting started. Appreciate your patience bearing with us with that. But, you know what, we're set. At least our teams are here. We're going to get to play the match. You know what, that's better than the alternative. That's better than the alternative. As we get set, we're just going to jump right into this thing. We're going to move right along. Let's take a look at your map poll here for your first of 3 series today.
Yeah, Nepal gonna be the starting map, as is gonna be all the matches happening in this week, and we'll run through it best of 5. But yeah, all of the effort gonna get started here on Nepal, and I believe that was MSU. That's that's actually a set map, so we were going to Nepal no matter what.
I mean, you know, it kind of does even the playing field when you just have like, okay, everybody, we're playing Nepal this week. You know what to scrim. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it as far as control goes, at least as far as that opener. Now, you know, if we get to a map 5, it could be another story, but at least right out of the gate, you know what to play here. Now that we've determined the where, let's figure out what our bans are going to be. We've got MSU banning out the JQ. DYS Budget Approved coming in and banning out the cast right out of the gate. What are your thoughts on these bans, Rain?
I don't know. It's interesting to see kind of the Junker Queen being banned right away. Maybe she's getting to see a little bit more playtime here in season 19, as we are in this new season now. But not really any changes for her. But I feel like when you're starting out kind of on this first map, you don't necessarily have to go for those heavy hitting bans, especially where this is a best of 5. There's maps to be worked with here. So potentially just getting a feel for what DYS Budget Approved is going to be running, and then I think the cast ban in response. This to me indicates that we might end up on some sort of a dive here. The cast, of course, going to be very anti-dive, and Nepal, a good selection of sub-maps for that dive's playstyle.
This makes me excited. Makes me excited for what MSU want to bring. It also tells me that DYS might have done their homework here. You know, they know what to expect. As we take a look at our rosters, you know, you might see why. As we see Reno there, the tank for MSU, showing us that Wrecking Ball is our preferred hero. Could be the reason we got that cast ban.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
That's
it
gonna
tracks.
be
That tracks.
Yeah, that definitely tracks. That CC really gonna stop the Wrecking Ball in his place. Now, yeah, the Freya and Widow being hovered as well for the DPS on the side of MSU. Note and Witty Weave gonna be the starting, like we mentioned, Reno on the tank, and then Winch and Ascend on those supports. So no Wuyong being hovered here, but I wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting to see him at some point throughout the series.
It's just so powerful. Especially if we're going to see either of these teams. Both these teams kind of showing us inclination of dive here. If we see either of these teams end up leaning that direction, the Wuyong can just add so much power into that. Particularly, if you're looking at a Wrecking Ball team, the Wrecking Ball combined with Tracer already can provide enough burst damage. All it takes is one Wuyong primary fire onto a target that's been pile drived, and that's just it. Like, it's just curtains from there. So it's a mean combo. We'll see if either of our teams will bring that out. We're going to start things off. We're headed to Sanctum here for your first sub-map on Nepal. I love this sub-map. You tend to see a lot of range on this map. The pit provides such an interesting, such an intriguing wrinkle into how your compositions are played in this, when you head inside this little close quarters map that we've got.
Yeah, I think it also tends to really push home the fact that you need to win fights, not win the point. Especially this sub-map is going to have a really wide open point, so you don't want to just run to the point, get yourself set up on there, because you're just going to be a sitting duck for all of the damage that's coming in, which is why we typically tend to see teams kind of taking these fights towards the bridge side on the outside by that mega health pack. And again, like I said, you could potentially run the dive, but this, like you mentioned, being more of kind of an enclosed map, you definitely do have an opportunity to run a rush composition of some type. The Lucio, of course, still going to be on the field if you so desire that speed. Okay, loading in. Getting to see at least the comps that are being hovered here. So MSU looking like potentially going to have Seamaster on that Zarya. Definitely getting to see more Zarya being played here. But Reno is on that Wrecking Ball like we saw on the roster page. And I think that could be really damaging to this composition that MSU is looking to run.
This is going to be an interesting battle, and we are going to get the Wuyong coming out from DYS alongside Witty Weave in that Tracer, so we do get that mean trio of burst damage that I was talking about. We'll see if Seamaster is able to get the bubbles in the right spot, be able to keep this double sniper backline alive. Actually, your Hanzo and your Freya, I think, are going to be the point of contention here for MSU. Let's see if they can put out the hurt or if they're going to end up going down first.
Yeah, just a little bit of a scuffle happening on the side here. It's nice angles that are being taken by MSU, but DYS Budget Improve's going to be able to capitalize on those splits pretty easily with this composition.
Seamaster right now looking to control bridge. Reno very low already, having to skirt back behind Note. See if they can find some healing. This is going to allow Seamaster a lot of room to work, and you see they're taking advantage of it. Already pressing in, trying to compress down and take over this entire map. But, you do have those pesky little flankers. Witty Weave's able to get back and get one, but the trades are there. Pusanika's actually able to put out the hurt this time. This is ice.
Yeah, nice little headshot there for the Lucio. This Lucio Kiriko going to be able to defend against this kind of dive composition from Rito and Witty Weave fairly well. Witty Weave, though, already done so much damage. He's going to have this pulse bomb ready to go. You got to be careful, though, because between that Suzu from Yggdrasil and the bubbles from Seamaster, it's going to be hard to find value with this one.
Witty Weave lurking. Pulse ready to go. Dancing around the Hanzo. Double and the stick! Pasinkas is just blown to smithereens. Ice half health, just hoping to get away. Cannot escape as we will get the blink melee in. Nice little two-piece here for Witty Weave to clean out this back line. There's a massive advantage for DYS, but job's not done. Rolling in, King Prong trying to back up to the Mega. We'll end up going down. Witty Weave able to blink it from the opposite side. We didn't even see Witty Weave appear in. They blinked across the gap to pick up their third and fourth kills in this fight. You gonna give me the ace? Oh, the swift step to get away, but Control does go over to DYS.
We can see just why Tracer has been so, like, a high pick rate for so many seasons. It's because Witty Weave is not able just to take, these cleanup kills, but able to open fights with this Tracer. Already built up basically another pulse bomb. Just use that one. But MSU, you have a big ultimate here to work with. That Graviton Surge from Seamaster going to be very impactful, but everybody on the side of Budget Approved is very mobile. And like I said, playing on a lot of angles here, so you really want to just go for one, lock it down, and try to find the fight win off of that.
Gotta control those angles. Good shot from Pasinkas. Takes that pulse bomb off the table here early in this fight. We know Witty Weave can plant those solid. Now, can he do anything else with it? Wrecking Ball rolling onto the point, but can't keep the stall going very long. But that kill into the back, Nope gets in so aggressive, runs all the way in to find that kill onto Yggdrasil. And without the Curie, this could be dangerous territory, but a huge grab comes through, and Seamaster will keep MSU in control with it.
Nice job to lock up both those supports. The Lucio, Ice spawning 3 final blows in that last fight. And now looking good here. Really great ults usage from MSU because you're still holding on to both these support ults. Now Ascend is going to be able to match on this Kitsune rush. And both those DPS ults ready to go from DYS. Potentially looking at a combo here. The Overclock plus the Kitsune rush. It could be very damaging.
Oh, just mean so much damage. We heard some dragons come out. Man, they made even the distance on them. It sounded like they were launched from Shrine. I don't know where those dragons went. But anyway, Kitsu in play. Ice, the high flying sound barrier. Gets 4 with it. But the MSU have not found any value on the back of these double support ults. In fact, it's Masinkas who's gone down. No, took some damage, but is able to stay alive and keep pouring damage back into this fight. They have MSU contained into the little cubby. Now they're moving in for the kill.
Yeah, and that's going to be the flip coming through here for DYS. Now, it was expensive. You used both those DPS ultimates, but you got the beat out from Ice, just barely getting it off. And now it's just going to be that Bola from King Prawn. We see Reno lurking here. Nearly has these mines ready to go as well.
Chandelier routine. Almost caught Pasinkas off guard. Lucky to get out of there in one piece. Seamaster with the self-bubble just to get through the door, escort this whole team in. There's a big old minefield right over the top of everybody. Surprised I didn't do more damage. I still struggling to stay alive. Flirting with disaster right above this entire minefield. Here comes the big pile drive in. King Prawn with the 2Ps from across the way. Catches a pair with the bolo shot. And this is going to give MSU a massive advantage with 99% on the board. This could just be the sub-map going their way.
Yeah, we did see Reno get out of that fight, potentially going to have the retouch. Yes, he's going to roll through, but it just one Wrecking Ball against 4 or 5 members. It's not going to last long.
Ooh, a hero beat, which actually keeps Reno going, rolling, grabbing the Mega back into the fray. Will not get the knockoff. Was looking for Ice in that one. Winch goes down. Pasinkas finds a pair. Play it out of just far back of this map. There's just nobody able to get close. The 3-piece will close it out for MSU.
Yeah, I think that this combo of the double archer in the Hanzo and the Freya really working out well for MSU. Maybe you're Zarya not getting necessarily as much charge as you would if you had, say, like a Reaper or someone that can kind of get up close, but able to control enough space that your Hanzo and your Freya can get set up on opposite angles and just doing so much damage. Really doing a good job of keeping this high mobility composition from DYS budget in check, regardless of not having any crowd control abilities. We take a look at the scoreboard here. We can see that not a whole lot of deaths. Actually, really across the board. Witty Weave definitely getting targeted on this Tracer. We saw him really popping off at the start, so definitely MSU recognizing that and needing to kind of lock down that Tracer. Now, it is going to be Pusenka's over on the Tracer instead of that Hanzo now. Otherwise, MSU very comfortable on this composition. Budget approved, looking to stick with the same as well, and maybe gonna have a little bit easier of a time on this wide open map of Shrine.
I can see the backline being able to have a little bit more of an impact, able to sit up, get some shots in. Reno just trying to clear the point, force Seamaster into a difficult situation. Seamaster gets out of there with like 50, 75 health, maybe? Note comes up with big opening picks, though, and Seamaster ends up alone on this point. Note's not going to be able to escape that, but neither will the tank. And DYS will grab first cap.
Yeah, that's the downfall of the Zarya. Once those bubbles are used, you just don't really have the mobility to kind of get anywhere, and we see Seamaster kind of get burned down. Now, King Prawn is going to swap over. Seamaster actually going to swap to the D.Va as well. I think that this is going to be a lot better to kind of counter this composition that DYS is running. You're going to have a little bit more peel potential, and you're also going to have some more mobility to try and just navigate yourself around this high verticality map.
Yeah, be able to pivot faster, rotate, further, longer distances to kind of get into a better position. Ice, though, even with that high mobility, not enough protection, no peel for the Lucio in that instance. Oh, an aggressive push from DYS. They're going to move in, double down, pick up another. Note under pressure here from Seamaster's D.Va, but still the kills are all coming up DYS.
Yeah, and it is going to be a stagger onto the pilot D.Va. We can see Seamaster walking his way towards the edge, despite getting that remech is just going to throw himself off. And here we go, DYS budget in control, approaching that 50%. You are going to have the mines, you're going to have that pulse bomb from Witty Weep ready to go as well. So even just the mines alone in this fight are going to be able to burn a whole lot of time off the clock, force us into that kind of 75% territory. MSU, just because you made these swaps, you don't have a lot to work with, and you're going to get delayed even further as Pusenkas falls on that Tracer.
And that's exactly what I was talking about at the top of this sub-map, where those supports, once they get some angles to work, they're both going to be able to put in a lot of damage. And what an opener here. Witty Weep moves in and getting back involved. The nice little two-piece.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that... Yeah, because Pusenkas was the one that fell first in that fight, you don't have the Tracer that's going to be able to put pressure on Witty Weep, and that's when we see Witty Weep basically just go wild with this. We are going to see a little bit of a rotation here from MSU. Walking down main has not been working for them, so I like this angle off to the side, but it's going to be seen from DYS.
Kind of a last opportunity here. Minefield trying to split the front line from the back, but most everybody got through. King Prong under pressure, hiding at 1 health there on the high ground. Tidal Blast run onto Ascend, and Note gets 2 with make it 3 to close out this map. We're headed over to a round 3 and see who takes this opening map.
This is a big difference from what we saw on Sanctum, right? A lot of back and forth on Sanctum, but it felt like, I mean, once DYS was in control here on Shrine, they did not give that up easily at all, really using the mobility and the angles from their composition to just lock down this attack here from the side of MSU. So we did see some swaps come through for MSU. I do like that D.Va. Pusenkas is maybe hovering on the Sombra here. Definitely going to be nice to kind of try and control Reno on this Wrecking Ball. I like seeing King Prawn move over onto the potentially a Reaper. Yeah, somebody's got to go on the Tracer because somebody has to control this angle from Witty Weep. And it's going to be the Sim TPs out for both teams. Pusenkas back over onto that Tracer. King Prawn is on this Reaper though, so we'll see what the Reaper can get done against this high mobility composition again, right? Reaper is going to have to get up close and personal, but DYS is going to be able to basically just run away from this.
A lot of space picked up, I will say. Note tried to move out and reclaim some of that and just gets burned down immediately. It was a little out of sync with Reno with that one. So Electro Healing goes Witty Weep's way, but it still comes up with 2. What a bloodthirsty Lucio. You love to see it. You love to have it on your team, too.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Really impressive stuff. The Lucio basically playing like a Tracer here, just finding all these like cleanup kills, and it's just DYS is not able to get away from Ice. And this is going to be the first point percentage here for MSU. Got to feel pretty good about that because, again, didn't get any percentage on that last one. No ults to work with here, but at least you have this kind of positional advantage. Everybody from MSU is going to be able to control this high ground.
And I love how fast they're moving around. They're really adapting here in this round 3. MSU already has an opening pick. Now everybody just trying to converge onto Reno. See if they can get that late kill, but the sustain comes through. There's a little bit of a rotation up top that draws some attention. Reno's going to use that, move on to the point when he backs away to heal. Seamaster says, I'm going to ignore both of you. I'm going to run after your supports.
And I mean, he can get away with it because the D.Va, there's not a whole lot of really burst damage on the side of DYS, save for that like note on with the rail guns, and DYS finding the kills here. It's really just going to be the D.Va. Seamaster on the point. Doesn't quite have that bomb ready to go, so it's just a little bit of a stall here, and then it is going to be the flip coming through. Not too bad for the first control here for the side of MSU, especially since they didn't use any ultimates there. So you're going to have that Kitsune Rush. You're going to have the beat available very, very shortly as well. But on the side of DYS, I mean, you have built up so many ults here as well. You're not going to be able to match this Kitsune Rush from Yggdrasil, so if you can get that kind of going first for MSU, that might be kind of an opening to break onto this point.
It's a huge advantage with that Kitsu. Yggdrasil's just going to throw it right over the minefield. It just does run everybody from DYS away. Gives time for MSU to kind of clean things out. A little bit of healing from the rejuvenative wave, but Witch isn't able to keep Reno alive. We're going to get a very quick flip on this point. Wait till we scared off.
Yeah, now more building here. Now we do have this overclock ready to go from Note. Trying really hard to de-max a master on this D.Va because it is going to be able to deny a whole lot of this value. A little bit of an angle being taken here. Honestly, if Reno can just kind of get behind, make some heads turn from MSU, that's going to open space up for Note to try and use this.
Sound barrier coming out first. Gets to throw it in. There's that overclock. Combo there with a tidal blast. But it's King Prawn, the one nobody was looking at. Snuck in behind. Takes down Note and Ascend. Cancels the OC. And this is going to take MSU all the way to the top. Well, at least to a 1-0 lead. All I got to do is focus fire to clean up the end. There's Witty Weeb. One wrecking ball stands between MSU and this map. There it is.
Oh, yep. The boop's gonna deny any further touch from the Reno Wrecking Ball. MSU picking up Nepal. Definitely looking like you said, Bullskunk. A lot of the kind of adaptability coming through from this team, right? Seeing the team swap, or the team composition swaps is one thing, but also kind of changing up their positioning and really reacting to this Wrecking Ball composition in a really good way.
Yeah, they were able to play a little bit more stagnant here in this opening round on Sanctum. And just kind of sit back with the double sniper comp. We saw them playing with the Freya and the Hanzo there in that opening round, and just control the lanes that way. You know, especially early, Witty Weeb was kind of able to get in and get some opening picks there. I think it was the very first fight, but for the most part, they were able to maintain those lanes. But they couldn't do the same thing on Shrine. It just wasn't going to work. There were too many lanes to control. They got completely overrun. But they adapted nicely and bringing back the diva of their own world, and really maneuvering more. It's really it wasn't so much the composition swap that they took into round 3, but it was the maneuvering, I think, that really mattered. Controlling that high ground up on top of, on Village, on top of the point itself. Yeah, really nice back and forth. I mean, I hope this continues. If it stays like this, Rain, we're in for the long haul.
Yeah, now we are of course in a round robin here for the regular season, but these two teams actually did play each other in the mid-season tournament, and that match did go all the way to map 5. So I got a lot of expectations here between these two teams because, as we just saw, very, very close. Now, as we head into our next map, those bans are going to be back on the table because we saw the CAS ban coming out in the very first map. That was DYS, of course, that pulled that one out, looking to play Reno on that Wrecking Ball. But the CAS is going to be back into the mix here. So if MSU really feel threatened by that Wrecking Ball, don't have to worry about pulling out the Sombra. You can pull out that hit scan.
Indeed. Indeed. And then the cast has just got so much more survivability, so much more just consistent damage up close, compared to really anybody else in the roster. You do have a little bit of extra, you know, you have the extra distance, you have some slide on a Soj. That's the only one's probably as consistent, I would say, as far as just raw damage output. But yeah, Cass is just a true nightmare. As a Wrecking Ball player, an absolute nightmare to play around, Ram.
Yeah, exactly. And so the other band that's going to be back in is the Junker Queen, which I kind of touched on it. Maybe we aren't seeing Junker Queen necessarily as much as some of the other tanks that are getting playtime, the Diva, the Zarya, the Wrecking Ball, even the Hazard. But, depending on the map, on the architecture of the map, you might be able to run that Junker Queen. Definitely still seeing her played a little bit on Flashpoint, kind of a little throwback to older seasons. But having those, back on the field, I'm interested to see if that's going to change anything in these compositions, especially because MSU has already shown how flexible they can be, kind of rotating to a few different DPSs. So it feels like these hero bans might be hard to really hit MSU hard with them.
And it's JQ kind of an interesting spot. It's funny you bring that one up. And for one, I do think it's something you have to be very specialized in. You have to have a really good JQ player, almost like a Wrecking Ball. Like, you have to be kind of specialized in a JQ and really understand the rhythm to get max value. If you're not landing the knives, if you're not getting those executes, you're even like a hog. It's, I mean, maybe that's a little, where it's like you're not landing those important cooldowns, you're just not getting the value. But an exceptional JQ player can really take over, particularly on Flashpoint, which is where we're headed for map 2. We're actually going to Suravasa here for this next map, and I can see the JQ coming out.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like on Suravasa, where you aren't necessarily going to have as much high ground to kind of contest with as Atlas, the newest map, even New Junk City. There's still some high ground to be controlled, especially since the rework has come through. And Suravasa is nice wide open. The thing is, I think it's also a pretty good map to play that Wrecking Ball, if that is what DYS still want to run.
It is a fun map. It is a fun map for the ball. JQ, I do think low-key the buff from mid-season actually was pretty good. It got reworked a little bit going into season 19, but the there was just a buff to one of her perks that I think actually made her really, really good late game, like late in a map that refreshed all your CDs during Rampage. Actually, pretty amazing perk that just got snuck in the mid-season patch for Season 18. It was so strong they had to nerf it a little bit going into Season 19. I think the meta just didn't fit, you know, for a ground and pound JQ style. You know, we were a little bit more in that double flex DPS kind of flanker style meta there for that late half of Season 18 after that mid-season patch.
Yeah, and with the double flex DPS, you really do want to have a tank that has a bit of mobility to it, right? That Tracer plus Genji duo, you don't want to be kind of caught without cooldowns against that. All right, well,
have bubbles.
Yes, bubbles.
Yeah, that's where Zarya came in, right? That's why we saw Zarya with a lot of playtime. At least you have bubbles that you can use to protect those members.
Yeah, and you can basically just beam down the Genji, and well, okay, no Zarya here as we head into Saravasa at least, so no bubbles to be had. That is going to be DYS actually banning out the Zarya. So I mean, we did see MSU play a bit of Zarya, so taking that off the table here. Interesting. No Reaper Zarya comp going to be happening here.
Now, it also protects your Wrecking Ball, right? So it's a very good pick. This is, and a great map for Zarya as well. Now you do leave your backline open here. We have seen what we saw in the first map.
Lucio Kiriko versus the Kiriko Wuyang. That was
I was gonna say the Kiri might be where you go. We'll see. We saw more of the Wuyang coming out from MSU. And so I think that they're going to have, they could flex around that a little bit more, ban out the Kiri and stick to more of the Wuyang comp here and try to pair that with something unusual. Although Kiri tends to be the pairing with the Wuyang, you can do other things. No, they're actually going for a DPS here. They're going to take the Soj off the equation.
Okay, yeah, I suppose, right? You've got some pretty big hit value from the Sojourn, especially comboed with that Tracer, right? Which we saw Witty playing the Tracer a whole lot. It's very impactful, especially when you have these like wide open sight lines that the Sojourn can build up this railgun and go for those squishies.
I mean, and Note was just outstanding on the hero. Note just looked fantastic on the Soj. I mean, straight up. So, looked very, very comfortable. And it looks like you're taking a strong pick out of that potent DPS player's hero pool. So, makes sense.
I do wonder if this means that we might end up kind of back on that double flex DPS, right? See the Tracer Genji. I mean, the Zarya's banned out. You're not going to be able to play Note on the Sojourn. So, potentially, if you have a Tracer, it might be, either Note on the Tracer or maybe the Genji. But could be a nice composition, especially where DYS has been opting to run that Wrecking Ball.
We have had Cherna coming in, subbing in. Now, this could be something... I don't know the teams well enough. I don't know if Seamaster, showed us a Zarya. A lot of times, maybe you have a DPS player kind of pick up that role a little bit. Could have swapped over, and we could get a role swap thing, as we are getting some clarification in our graphic. It does look like Chernish is actually the one that is the flex player here, and is going to be filling in for that flex DPS role. I was thinking there could be a Cherna going to tank, Seamaster going to DPS kind of thing going on here. That is not the case. It is a straight 1-for-1. Cherna coming in. You'll have to remind me on the other DPS player. Coming out.
That was... King Prawn.
It was King Prawn. Good call. That was playing on the Freya for most of that map.
Yeah, the Freya, and we saw a little bit of Reaper as well coming out from King Prawn. Yeah, nice, fun Death Blossom that we don't necessarily get to see a whole lot of value against. So, yeah, shout out to King Prawn for finding the kills with that ultimate. But, yeah, okay, interesting. Having Tarnished come in here, and... we kind of mentioned that, it's nice to have these specialized players. Now, not necessarily usually seeing that kind of in the flex DPS, but hey, you banned out the Sojourn. Maybe you're looking to play something a little bit faster here. You're not waiting to have Tarnished. Actually, no, we are going to have King Prawn still in here, so Tarnished is not subbed in for MSU. It is still going to be King Prawn making an appearance here on Saravasa.
We were baited. We were totally 100% baited here. And we get both. Okay, well, they can also still be baiting us, mind you.
Yeah.
But they are going to use both of the heroes that were banned out in map 1 if they stick with this composition. I love good Junker Queen play. I think it's exciting to watch. Very explosive hero. If they stick with the Symmetra, I can see this. This is going to be a just sit on point and pounds on anybody that gets close. There'll be a lot of speed here. You're going to have Lucio and a JQ shout to work with. This could be very potent indeed.
Yeah. All right, we are going to see the TP out. Looks like no, both Symmetras are going to swap over. So Pusenkas is going to go over onto the Genji. Still going to work really nicely kind of with this composition, right? You're going to be able to dash in, finish off those kills that King Prawn and Seamaster are getting kind of low. On the side of DYS, though, we do have Reno coming out on this Orisa. So as long as you can kind of keep a little bit of distance from this Junker Queen, it's going to be easy for DYS budget approved to kind of force cooldowns out of MSU in the fight beginnings.
The problem here is you have to push up. You can't just give over free cap in this fight. So it's going to be overwhelming damage to try to force Seamaster off. It's exactly what we're seeing. The Shout used defensive